Good morning. Yes, my hair's up. I know. What am I going to do? Take it out? All right. I don't know who I heard or what I heard, but I'm going to take my hair out. Sorry, you guys. I look like I just woke up, and I didn't. I just came over to my computer. What I have been doing is looking at the news this morning. Yeah, I've been looking at the news for Wacka Doodle Wednesdays, and oh my gosh, okay. Because I am not better off. And I'm pissed, but not that pissed. Not like that. Like, oh, no. I'm going to talk about my feelings. And so I bow to you. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty in you. Namaste, oh namaste. I see the beauty in you. You give your loving heart to everyone you see. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sticking on. This is Karen Drucker we're listening to. Inspires me. So I'm going to just take a minute and I'm going to listen to this and gather my thoughts on the shutdown, on Donald Trump, and what's happening in my local political circus is the word that came to mind. Circus. Alexa, pause. All right. So we know that we're in a shutdown. The U.S. government shutdown has now entered day 22, officially becoming the second longest shutdown in modern history. Here's the current chaos. 750,000 federal workers are furloughed or working without pay. National parks, museums, infrastructure projects in Democratic-led cities are shuttered. SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans could halt by November 1st if the shutdown continues. Trump refuses to meet with Democratic leaders until the government reopens. Senate Republicans have failed 11 times to pass a funding bill. That sounds to me like we are in a constitutional crisis. The shutdown is a budgetary standoff over the Affordable Care Act, tax credits, and Medicaid cuts, with both sides refusing to budge. The longer it drags, the more it resembles a hostage situation, with air traffic, food aid, and federal paychecks caught in the crossfires. Okay, is it possible to end the shutdown? Yes, but only if Congress passes a funding bill. All right, so somehow somebody's got to give. And I think it's Speaker of the House Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, who has to swear in, and I have this in my notes as well, the person from Arizona. All right. Republicans want a stopgap bill to extend funding until November 21st without restoring Medicaid cuts or ACA subsidies. Basically, folks don't have health care, but we don't have health care. We don't ask each other, hey, do you got health care? No, we say, do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance? Are you paying some big corporation over here boo-hoo bucks in hopes that you might have health care when you need it in an emergency? Democrats refuse to support any bill that doesn't reverse Medicaid cuts and extend ACA subsidies past December 31st. You can make up your own. Hi, how are you? You can make up your own thoughts on that one. President Trump has said he won't meet with Democratic leaders until the government reopens. Okay, well, that doesn't make sense. Maybe it makes sense to somebody, but it doesn't make sense to me because he didn't go meet with the Israel prime minister. He's not meeting with Zelensky. He's not meeting with Putin until they cease fire. He's meeting with them to negotiate the ceasefire. Trump won't do that same thing internally with the US. With the Democrats, he won't extend that same whatever it is that he extends. He's extending it to foreign leaders, but not to internal Democrats. All right. Thank you very much. All right. The next pressure point is October 24th. So today is October 22nd. When federal workers miss their first full paycheck, that could force lawmakers back to the table. And then, in case you wanted to know, what is Congress doing right now? Congress is mostly stuck. Senate Majority Leader John Thune plans to introduce a bill to pay federal employees and military personnel retroactively, but it won't open the government. And the House has been out of session since September 19th, so they're not working. The House of Representatives isn't working, with no plans to return until the shutdown ends. I have to pause for a minute and let that soak in. So we have no working Congress at this time trying to do whatever they can to end this shutdown as soon as possible. For the American people, for the people of the United States, for we the people, who they are supposed to be representing. We the people. Thank you. We the people. But they're not there. They're not even in their seats. Like, we've got people who are working without pay to keep our prisons going, but our Congress, our House of Representatives aren't showing up every day, whether they get paid or not, and they're still getting paid to resolve this situation. Some White House advisors believe the shutdown could end this week. Okay, that makes me take a deep breath, citing political optics and public pressure from protests like the No Kings rallies. And we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep figuring it out. Because this isn't for the people, right? I'm going to talk about short-term impact on business, but one of the things that, like, I go through my to-do list today. Thanks for staying. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I put something on my lips because my lips get so dry all the time. I have a list of things to do today, right? I've got several things to do. And one of those things is go to the grocery store. And that is such a huge stressor because I have X amount of dollars to spend at the grocery store and prices are going up. I am not better today than I was 4 months ago or 6 months ago or 2 years ago or 8 years ago. Like, this is a downfall. It's showing in our unemployment numbers that are obviously declining, right? I mean, increasing. They're not declining. The numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? The number of unemployed is increasing. Thank you. So with that, what's happening to other businesses? So the short-term impact on other businesses. So this is that domino effect. This is that tsunami where the water all gets sucked out and then comes rushing back in. 320 small businesses per day are losing access to 170 million in SBA-backed loans, freezing hiring, inventory, and expansion. Federal contracts and payments are delayed, especially for business in construction, healthcare, and logistics. and consumer demand is dropping in areas with high federal employment as furloughed workers cut spending. Healthcare providers face claim delays and policy expirations, especially in rural areas. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce warns that the shutdown is costing economic growth that can't be recovered. You tell me he's okay? The President of the United States is okay with that? Are we okay with that? Who else is okay with that? I'm not okay with that. All right, and Wyoming's response. Wyoming is feeling the squeeze, but trying to cushion the blow. The Low-Income Energy Assistance Program has paused new applications due to lack of federal funds. Only 1,168 households were approved before the shutdown hit. I'm going to look into that a little bit more to find out what what's the 5-year average. And we don't know. So far, the winter is wackadoodle, right? The winter's all over the place. It's up, it's down, it's in, it's out. Wow. All right. Are people going to be sitting in their houses freezing? Folks, if you are someone who has lost your LEAP and is concerned for what's going to happen as far as your heating costs in the winter, there are solutions out there, okay? There are people who will help. There are agencies, nonprofits, others, churches that will help. But also there's things you can do yourself, right? You can cover your windows with blankets to help hold the heat in. You can make sure there's no gaps around any of your doors and windows. There are different methods to warm your house. Be careful of any generators and be careful of any carbon monoxide. So even as cold as it is, keep a window open with air flowing in and out. That's absolutely an essential thing. And that's reality, right? That's what we're talking about if this government shutdown doesn't end and we still get health care. SNAP benefits for November are delayed, affecting over 28,000 residents, nearly half of whom are children. All right, again, food banks are out there. And if you are someone who has plenty in your cupboards, like you have an abundance in your cupboards, but don't give the oldest beans. All right, nobody wants your oldest can of beans. Maybe someone does, okay, but we have plenty of 19th century, 1900s, 1900s Depression era beans on hand, in stock, in bunkers. We're all going to be living on green beans soon enough if this government shutdown doesn't end. But more than that, the budget itself. Someone asked me, how would you balance this budget? How do you balance $1 trillion budget? And obviously people smarter than me can't even figure it out. SNAP benefits for kids. There's no reason for your kids to go hungry. I know it's hard. Believe me, I know it's hard. It's hard when the only thing your kids got is an onion to eat and they're starving. Governor Gordon's office pledged to cover gaps in federal funding for state employees in the short term, but warned that a prolonged shutdown could force tough decisions. Sometimes the man gets it right? Honestly, I gotta say, sometimes Governor Gordon gets it right. Lawmakers are debating a SNAP waiver to restrict purchases of soda, candy, and spices, though it could cost Wyoming taxpayers $3.1 million. That's from WildFile. I can't hardly even speak to that. Okay, lawmakers are debating a SNAP waiver to restrict purchases of soda, candy, and spices. We want your boiled hamburger plain, is what we're saying. That's just stupidity. I can't even fathom the stupidity of that. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares if my kid gets a soda and a candy bar and I get some spices to make my hamburger taste better? Like, whoa, stay out of my business. The White House estimates Wyoming could lose 100 jobs if this shutdown lasts a month. Speaker Mike Johnson is currently refusing to swear in Representative-elect Adelita. I don't know, and I'm not going to destroy it. They are a Democrat from Arizona who won a special election on September 23rd, 2025, to replace their late father, the representative. Johnson claims he'll administer the oath only after the Senate votes to reopen the government. So if they would swear this person in, the representative in from New Mexico, the distinguished representative, the distinguished representative from Arizona, it would shift the balance of power, right? Their vote could be decisive in forcing a discharge petition, a procedural move that would compel a vote on a funding bill even without speaker approval. And she's expected to sign a bipartisan petition to release Justice Department files related to the Epstein case. And her absence means Arizona's 7th congressional district has no representation during a shutdown that's affecting SNAP energy assistance and federal jobs in her state. So what's going on? Arizona's Attorney General, Chris Myers, has sued Speaker Johnson, calling the delay taxation without representation and accusing him of disenfranchising voters. House Democrats marched to Johnson's office demanding the senator or the representative be sworn in, but Johnson was absent. And critics say Johnson is using the shutdown as leverage to block Democratic votes and stall bipartisan action. What the? This standoff is ripe for, okay, that's something else. All right. What this is transactional behavior. Some would say, oh, it's negotiation, but no, this is more holding people hostage, right? Transactional. In politics, transactional behavior refers to treating governance like a series of trades, votes for favors, access for loyalty, policy for power. It's the opposite of the principled leadership or deliberative democracy. Instead of asking what's best for the people, it asks, what do I get out of this? So that's what Congress is holding us hostage, basically saying, what are they going to get out of this? What do I get out of this? So the examples include refusing to swear in a duly elected representative until a funding bill passes, holding federal paychecks hostage to extract policy concessions, using committee appointments or subpoenas as bargaining chips, right? None of that is saying what's best for the people. We represent the people, and we, the people, are speaking up in No King's protests, and we, the people, are using our voices in multiple ways. Maybe we better figure this out for we, the people, because of the constitutional crisis. Almost on my last segment here. All right, the constitutional consequences. I still look like I just woke up, but I didn't. I swear to God. But I also don't care. I mean, I do care. I care a lot, actually. I was about to go down a squirrel with the whole story of something else in my life where, like, nothing's ever good enough. But let's stay focused at this moment on constitutional consequences. Transactionalism corrodes the Constitution in subtle but serious ways. Undermines equal representation. Blocking a swearing in denies constituents their voice, violating the principle of one person, one vote. You guys, this is the first time I'm reading this. It's not like I've read this 10 times before I'm speaking it. Erodes checks and balances. When power is traded instead of exercised responsibly, branches of government stop holding each other accountable. Okay, yeah. Where's the Supreme Court in all of this? distorts legislative intent. Laws become patchworks of concession, not coherent public policy. And weakens public trust. Citizens see government as a game of favors, not a forum for justice or collective problem solving. The impact it's having on the US. The damage isn't just institutional, it's emotional and cultural. Civic fatigue. People disengage when politics feels rigged or performative. Polarization. Transactional tactics reward loyalty over nuance, pushing parties to extremes. And economic harm. Shutdowns and stalled legislation hurt workers, businesses, and communities, especially those most vulnerable. Loss of moral leadership. When elected officials act like deal makers instead of stewards, the nation loses its ethical compass. All right. Well, so that is what I've got for today. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you sticking around. You're welcome to leave a comment. And wow, this is a lot to think about. And I'm really hoping that Congress is coming back together, like in a reasonable way in a short amount of time, because again, the domino effect for something like this, the long-term, not the short-term consequences and the long-term consequences, not just, as I stated, like not just economically, but the morale, our ethics, our being disenfranchised from government altogether. It's okay. Stay tuned. Friday, I'm going to do at 9 a.m. I'm going live for Compassionate Fridays. And right now, I think again, I'm going back to compassion for myself, but compassion for others. I've done that. It was 2 weeks ago. Last week, I did Compassionate Fridays for prisoners or people being held captive. And my first Compassionate Friday was on housing and the housing shortage. So we'll see what moves me over the next, 48 hours for my focus on Compassionate Fridays this Friday. Look for my shorts. They're out there. I promise I'll dry my hair before I actually record. And hey, tell your friends about me. Thanks.